What's up, zoners? How did your league champions and the most dominant players in your league draft last season? Did they wait on running backs? Did they wait on wide receivers? Did they grab their quarterback early or late? These are the questions that we are going to be answering today, and we're going to apply it to the players that we can get in those rounds this season, man. I'm unlocking all the secrets. We're going to be finding out how to win your league right now. I have all the data compiled, man, in the list. 100 players from ESPN's most common players on fantasy championship teams and fantasy playoff teams. So the champions, the most dominant teams, how they drafted. Let's answer the question right now. All right, let's start off with the running backs. And first up is Christian McCaffrey. And that is because this graph is ordered by ADP. His ADP was number 4 overall last season. That was going in round 1. And you look at the playoff rostered, he was on 73% of playoff teams. So all the rosters in the playoffs, he was on 7 out of 10 of those. All the rosters that made the championship, that won the championship, he was on 2 out of 10 of those, 21.6% of championship rosters. That was higher than anybody else other than Kyren Williams, way down here. And that's because Kyren Williams was undrafted, whereas Christian McCaffrey went in the first round. So even though Christian McCaffrey averaged 3 more fantasy points per game than Kyren Williams, Kyren Williams was still more valuable because of where you got him. So if you notice in the ADP column, the players going after the 3rd round are highlighted. We want to focus on these players. In my opinion, you better hit on your first 3 rounds. Otherwise, you probably won't be winning a championship anyways. And league winners that you will find that will benefit your team the most, just like Kyren Williams, will be found in the 4th round or later, so we are focusing on them. All right, let's take a look at where these players were going in fantasy drafts last season, so we know where to target them this season, and we can relate it to players I'm going to tell you about in a second. So 9 of the 23 players on this list, man, went in the first 3 rounds, okay? So we need to do our hero running back strategy, get a dominant running back in one of the first 3 rounds. Then next up, dude, look at this. Round 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players in round 5, 1 player in round 6, and then 3 in round 7. Those are 8 players, dominant running backs for your teams going in rounds 5 through 7. So if we can, we want a running back in the first 3 rounds, and then we want to target 2 running backs in rounds 5 through 7. And if you are looking at running backs going in rounds 5 through 7 this year, we've got Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Zamir White, and James Conner. In my opinion, I want to target Aaron Jones. I want to target Ramondre Stevenson. I want to target Zamir White and James Conner. Those are the players that will win you a championship this season. All right, on to the wide receivers. We are starting with Justin Jefferson because, hey, man, he was picked 2nd overall last year in the 1st round. He was actually on, half of the teams that made the playoffs last year. So even though he missed a ton of games, he came on strong for you at the end. And hey, talking about coming on strong at the end, he was dominant on championship rosters. He was on 18% of those. And hey, if you want to know the most dominant wide receiver for championships last year, it was CeeDee Lamb, man. He scored like 30 points a game during that 3-week stretch. He was on 3 out of 10 rosters for championships. And then again, if you want to look at another guy that did well, the only non-quarterback that scored 20-plus fantasy points in weeks 15 through 17 last year, which were the championships, Amon-Ra St. Brown was on 1 out of every 4 championship squads. Super dominant. All right, let's look and see where these wide receivers were being drafted last season so we can target wide receivers this year in the same position. So the first thing I noticed, 10 of the 18 players on this list went in the first 3 rounds. So what does that tell me? If you want to win a championship this year, man, we got to hit wide receivers early. 2 of the first 3 rounds, we need to get wide receivers on our team. We already established that we need a running back, a hero running back, 1 in the first 3 rounds. So we need 2 wide receivers and 1 running back in the first 3 rounds. Look at that, man. I mean, that was such a huge deal last year. If you would have drafted a wide receiver in the 1st and 2nd round, chances are you're going to the championship. And then after that, you can see a small pattern between rounds 6 and 7. You can kind of find maybe your wide receiver 3 that will help you win a championship. And the wide receivers that you can find in rounds 6 through 7 this season. So ADP 61 through 84, Zay Flowers, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, George Pickens, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper. The players that I like in this area for my wide receiver 3, if I can. Zay Flowers, I like Tank Dell, and I like Keenan Allen if I do not have DJ Moore on my team. Those are the players that will win you a championship this year. All right, on to the quarterbacks. And first up is Patrick Mahomes because, hey, he was drafted 14th overall in the second round. He was on, almost half of playoff rosters. So he was a super common player to get to the playoffs, but him and Travis Kelce took a huge dump at the end of last year, and he was not on any of the top championship teams. He was way down the list, man. He was not in the top 50. So again, let's look and see where these dominant players for champions and playoff teams were being drafted last season so we can target quarterbacks this year in the same position. So, dude, look at this. You can either last year get a quarterback in the top tier. You needed a top tier quarterback in the first 4 rounds. Or you waited till the very bitter end, man. Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had one bad game. I think it was the first week or the second week of the playoffs. Got like 4 points. And guess what? He was not on. He was very uncommon on championship rosters because of that. And then, hey, Jordan Love, he didn't get you the playoffs because he didn't turn it on till the very end, but he won you a championship. And then CJ Stroud, finding him late was a huge advantage last year. He got you to the playoffs and to a championship. And Kyler Murray, hey, man, you had to wait for him. But when you did get him, he helped you win a championship. And looking at this, what we can tell from this, man, we need a quarterback early or we need a quarterback late. And the quarterback's going late this season, man, in rounds 14 through 15. Trevor Lawrence. Let's see, Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, J.J. McCarthy, and Drake May. So out of these quarterbacks, the ones I like, dude, Trevor Lawrence is going so late. I actually kind of like it. Deshaun Watson, no thank you. J.J. McCarthy, I might be interested in, but I'm more interested in Sam Darnold. I was telling you, man, those Vikings quarterbacks can get you 20 fantasy points per game. Even Nick Mullins did that last year. Let's go Sam Darnold. All right, let's finish it up, man, with the tight ends. And the first tight end, who I hate actually, is Travis Kelce. Because he went in the first round last year to number 6 overall. That is insane. He was on half of the playoff rosters. He was like, dude, tight end number 1 or 2 halfway through the year. Then he was tight end 20 over the last 8 games, dude, with no touchdowns in the last 6 games of this last year. No touchdowns in the last 6 games of the year before that. So F Travis Kelce, dude. I hate you. He was not even on the top list for championship rosters. Actually, none of the top tight ends were on that list for the championship rosters. It actually helped you if you waited a very long time and hit on a tight end to win a championship last season, man. Just look at Sam Laporta. He was pretty much on 1 out of every 4 championship squads, and Trey McBride as well. So if you hit on a late tight end, that was the one thing that really helped you win a championship last year. But looking at this, it's the same thing with the quarterbacks, man. You either want a top tier tight end, right? The one in the middle was Evan Ingram. He was the one middle tight end on this list. Other than that, man, it was all top tier or very end. So what we want to do is wait with quarterbacks and tight ends. We want to get the top tier or wait till the bitter end, okay? And that's how we will win a championship this year. The question was, where did championship squads find their dominant players last season? Well, we went over the data and we found out that we need a dominant running back in one of the first 3 rounds. We need 2 wide receivers in one of the first 3 rounds as well. Round 4 is open to get your tight end or quarterback early or late because that's what you need to do. Do not get something in the middle. And then rounds 5 through 7, we need to get 2 running backs there, and we need to get 1 wide receiver there as well. And then after that, man, just fill out your roster and you will win a damn championship. So hopefully you like this episode, man. Hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription because look at our subscribers, man. We need it. We need your support. We have a Patreon. We just started that. I'm going to be adding the link below. Please click on it, man. $5 a month if you cannot afford it. Do not pay for it, man. I'm poor too. All right. So this is Big Turd Ward. That's who I am. And this is the Fantasy Red Zone. And we appreciate you.